I want to talk you guys through how you can think about programming for a small group, or truthfully, if you just find yourself training more than one person at a time, how you can use some programming principles to make this a little bit easier for yourself, but also still make it individualized and flexible. So happens to be today, I've got a couple guys who are coming in to train together. Over time, I have found as I've grown my training business, this is not only a very effective way to try to make more money in the time you're training, but it's also a very flexible thing for your clients. And so I have a lot of clients that even if they might primarily train on their own, that it's not uncommon for them because of their schedule changes or even mine, that they're comfortable training together. And so for me, what I've had to do over time is think about how do I still make sure that they're getting good individualized training while also making it a little simpler on me on the programming and even the setup side of things. And so I'm going to walk you guys through pretty much start to finish the creation of a workout. Now, I will say before we go into this, normally, as we think about programming, I'm not creating one workout at a time. Normally, I'm looking at the entire week, but this just happens to be two clients. I'm going to really build our program based upon one of these clients. One of these clients trains with me consistently twice a week. And so the programming format you're going to see very much fits his week. And I just happen to have another client who couldn't train on a normal day, and so he's going to jump in. He is also on a pretty even full body split. It's a little bit different, but we're going to base what we do mostly upon him. That way they both come in, they both get a great workout that fits them where they are within the week and is continuing to lead us forward. And it's something that I can use for a variety of people, or I can use to progress these guys down the road. So first off, prep and prime. As we're thinking about our training session, we generally don't really need to start with the warm-up first. And actually, it's probably going to be better. You're probably going to create better warm-ups if you create the training program first and then work backwards in reverse and say, what do I need to do to accomplish this? Like, what do I need to do to make sure they get a great workout as we keep going along? Okay, so first thing we're going to do is you guys can look at the format. Even before putting any exercises up here, I just threw a structure for the training session. And the reason I did this, my preference when it comes to programming, especially as you work with a lot of general population. And as we talk about programming and principles, oftentimes we got to think about the bell curve. Like, what's going to be best for most people? There may be people outside of that, and that's cool, but a lot of people are going to fit inside this bucket. And I have found that doing 2 and 3 exercise sets is infinitely flexible, and it's a fun way to train, and you can accomplish a lot of different goal sets. So if you might be wondering, Joe, why are you supersetting? Why aren't you doing one exercise and resting? Not to say I never wouldn't if I had someone who was truly like max strength focused and I felt like it was necessary. But even those clients, I can usually find some other good things for them to do. So you'll see here how we're still going to have this first set in our workout. It is going to be a lot more demanding exercise, a little bit kind of hypertrophy strength in between, and how we compare that together with an exercise that doesn't impact it or impede upon it. In general, though, this is about as many exercises as most people are going to get through. And if anything, I like to do this superset format, especially if I'm thinking about the profile of these two guys I have coming in. Both of them, right? Both of them are like, I would say, intermediate training level. It's not the first time they're working out. They've lifted with me for quite some time and even on their own for years before that. So they pick up exercises pretty well. Both of them do have muscle gain focus, but they're also they both want to live a long time. They'd like to maybe be a little bit leaner. And so I find, hey, with this superset and triplex format, we can still create some progressive overload with a couple of primary moves. And then we can give them just more, let's call it variability in their training program, where we're able to train a little bit of core, a little bit of full body on the same training session. So this will make sense as we keep going along. But I do like this format. This is actually very similar, even though these two guys normally train separate. Their format of their program is very similar. That's why I paired them together. Usually I'm only putting together a couple clients who, like, their training might be a little bit similar. They're going to be a good personality fit. So it's still going to be a great training experience for them. All right, so let's think about how we're going to break this up. Anytime we're starting to organize our program, when we think about these individual sets, in each of these, I'm really thinking about my first exercise, A1, B1, C1. Those are my primary moves. Those are the ones I'm going to prioritize within the set. So when I'm looking at, especially if I'm looking at the week of programming with someone, which is really how we should do it, I'm going to think about these exercises first before I go fill in everything else. Okay, so for both of these guys, their last workout of the week was already set up to be even full body, and we're going to prioritize a compound lower body movement, and it really is going to be hinging. So what I'll show you how we can do this is especially when you're thinking about multiple clients, if you think about the movement pattern first instead of an exercise, it's going to be more flexible. Because now guess what? Let's say these two guys, let's say, Kelly and Justin who are coming in, maybe not both of them are ready for the hex bar deadlift yet, but maybe one of them is. So in my mind, I can be thinking, okay, well, like both of them, I want to prioritize the hinge. Maybe for Kelly, the hex bar deadlift, like he's at that level. That's a great move for him. But maybe for Justin, maybe it's a slightly wider stance kettlebell deadlift. So the cool part is in our program, we can still be training similar patterns together, but I can make it flexible. So either way, I'm going to say A1, I want to prioritize the hinge. All right. With both of these guys, obviously they love training upper body. So in the second set, I'm going to give them what they want, and we're going to prioritize upper pushing. All right. Upper push. And then because I like to create some just well-rounded, impact of the training session, for our last set, I'm going to prioritize upper pull. Boom. Cool. So again, at least now I've started to narrow down the categories. If they need, maybe one of them needs a slightly different upper pressing exercise. Maybe one of them needs a slightly different upper pulling exercise based on where they are in their programs and their level of training. I can make that. That's fine. But initially, I can just create the template, and it makes it a little easier for me to accomplish it. So from here, though, now we can start to think about what other things would go well. So if I have this primary set, when I'm starting out with these two guys, I really want this one. This is going to be a little bit more like strength hypertrophy. So I'll tell you, program-wise, what we have is we have 4x6, which means this first one is going to be something I want them going heavier with, right? It's not going to be max strength, but we're definitely training that kind of in-between strength and hypertrophy. And I'm going to make that because with hinging, I want to get them stronger here. And I'll tell you guys now, we're going to do hex bar deadlift with this program. But because of that, the second exercise, I want them to get some appropriate recovery and rest. And so the second move, I don't want it to be super taxing. I'm not going to usually choose another full compound move. This is usually going to be one where I try to prioritize maybe some hip and core stability. So for them, they get to keep moving, going to get a great training effect. They're going to feel like they're accomplishing a lot, but I'm going to make sure they're getting some recovery for that hinge. So I can tell you right now, this one is going to be more of a core-based exercise, more core stability. All right, so we've got our first two patterns lined up. Second one, upper push. All right, things that pair well with upper pushing, we've already done. If this is going to be a full body training program, if I want to do any more lower body, I've already prioritized the hinge. My other two patterns, I've got lunging and I've got squatting. All right, both of those could be good options. With our upper push, dumbbell, chest press, barbell, whatever we're going to do, we're training and utilizing the shoulders. So some of it depends on where these clients are. Squatting could be a good pattern, but honestly, I don't usually love these two compression-based exercises. One, oftentimes we're laying down more compression and then loading the back, or even with the kettlebell, you're getting a lot on the shoulders. So I prefer with the pressing exercise to go with a lunge. So I'm just going to throw that pattern in there for us. And then now here's a cool rule along the way. We haven't even completed the full program, but I'll tell you guys, for me, when I'm prioritizing the training session and I'm thinking about what exercises to put in, I'm usually thinking, what if we didn't even get to this bottom half? Now with these guys, we will, but like let's say one of them shows up late or both of them show up late. You might have things in a program for a certain client you got to cut out. And so what I want to do is I want to look at these first two sets, let's call it like the first 2/3 of our workout. And I want to say, man, if we only did that, would it be a great workout? And if it is, then I've probably prioritized them right. Because sometimes that'll help you prevent from putting in exercises that aren't giving you a lot of bang for your buck early on. We want to throw those in later. Okay, but we're going to have the time. So we already prioritized upper pulling is going to be great here. We've done some hinging. We've done some lunging. We could do some squatting, but we don't necessarily have to. These guys are training twice throughout the week, so I can get squatting in on another day. But knowing both of them and their goals, we haven't gotten any upper body isolation, no biceps, no triceps. And so I'm going to want to plug some of this in here because I'm also thinking here at the end, what are they going to enjoy, right? Like, what are they going to leave being like, man, that last set was awesome? Because they're going to forget everything up here anyways. And so I'm definitely thinking, aside from physiological goals, I want to finish off with something I think that they're also going to enjoy doing. Okay, so I'm going to think about this for a second. We've got an upper pull. We're going to be getting some biceps in there. So if I don't get them in the workout, that's okay. But we haven't done any triceps. We did a little bit of pressing here. So I'm going to go here. This one, you could just think in your mind accessory. But as I'm planning it out, I'm going to think tricep, And then here, I'm going to say either core or conditioning, okay? And if we look at this just from a pattern standpoint, this is a pretty complete workout. I mean, we're hitting every muscle group in the body. We haven't made the exercise selections yet, but I like to start with this because that way, especially if you're planning for a consistent small group and you're going to have people consistently training together 2 or 3 days a week, starting with just the format first makes it much easier to say, well, Sally needs to do the dumbbell RDLs, but Jane needs to do a staggered RDL, and then James, no, he's good for the hex bar, whatever it is. So it makes it much easier. But then they're all still training the same patterns together, because the truth is most people need to train the same patterns. But now that we've done this, let's go in and plug in the actual moves in the workout, just so you guys can get a sense. So from here, I'm going to go hinge. Let's throw in our primary moves. I already mentioned this. We're going to do some hex bar deadlifts. And just for shorthand, I'm going to put HB, hex bar deadlift, DL. All right, if you guys aren't familiar with the hex bar deadlift, check it out. Very accessible, great lower body hinging option for a lot of people. And then the second one here, looking at our core exercise. Okay, I already know because I like these two together. We're going to train with that hex bar deadlift. This is a posterior chain exercise, right? I'm getting the entire body, but it's glutes, it's hamstrings, it's erectors, it's lats, it's a lot of back muscles. And so I like to pair together something that's more anterior core. And so for this one, I'm going to get them a cable coming behind. And our goal in the second exercise is not to kill it. It's like medium intensity. It's going to be a single arm cable press. Okay, so that little superset, it's full body, but that second move, it's not really going to tax the upper body, the pressing muscles. It's going to give them more core. But since we do have upper chest, like our next push coming up, it's going to make sure they're ready for it. All right, so I'm going to go single arm cable press. Arm cable press. And this one is going to be just for more stability-based reps. I'm actually only going to do 3 sets times 12 per side. Okay, and the goal as I'm coaching this, I'm coaching that both of these guys coming in today, right? Because they're going to come in right after this video. Hex bar, this is the attack exercise. This is the one we're getting after. I want you to try to push some weight here. All right, so I'm going to coach them into more intensity there, and I'm going to try to bring them down a little bit on the second exercise. I want it to feel more moderate. I just want you to focus on feeling your core engaged, controlling the exercise. So there's going to be a lot of coaching that goes in to make sure they get the most out of it. And now we can move on. All right, so great first set, training a lot here. Moving on to our upper press. I'm going to go with a dumbbell incline. All right, and partially, I already know I have the benefit of knowing these guys' programs. Both of them have trained more horizontal pressing, more flat dumbbell chest press or barbell chest press earlier in the week. And so I'm going to give them a little bit of vertical with our dumbbell incline. Okay, so dumbbell incline. And this here, this one, we're going to go also probably, we'll see how our training session goes along. This one's probably going to be 4 by 8 to 10. So again, still a kind of hypertrophy range for them, not truly in the strength range. They trained a little bit heavier around the 6 rep range with their horizontal press earlier in the week. 4 by around 8 to 10. This is going to be good for them, dumbbell incline. And they both move well there. So I can have them do the same exercise. It's a good fit. And then the lunge. This is definitely where each of them is going to have a slightly different one. Okay, I can tell you, mostly one of them has had some previous knee issues. The other one, you know, again, he's much larger. This guy's like 6'4", 270. So lunges can be a lot on bigger people just based upon levers and length. So what I have found with Justin, honestly, step downs or step ups with a relatively like, you know, let's say about knee height, shin height box is a great way for him to train the lunge pattern. Right now, that's kind of where we have him. That's his primary lunge move that we're training and loading. So this is where I'll kind of show you. I've got step downs. I'm going to put J. So we got step downs for him. And then for Kelly, I know I got terrible handwriting. For Kelly, we've got dumbbell reverse lunge. And the reason we do that dumbbell reverse lunge for him with just some previous knee issues is we have found that especially if I can create that lunge, but I can make him real hingy and it takes a lot of tension off that knee versus him doing forward where there's more stress. So either way, on that second move, this is really the main place where like, hey, we've been doing the same move. Now I'm going to split them up. Justin's going to be doing the step down. Kelly's going to be doing that reverse lunge, but they're both single leg. We're going to do both of these for 3 by 10, meaning I'm only going to get 3 sets at 10 per leg. And even timing wise, it's going to take them about the same time since they're both single leg. So we've got a little bit of customization built off the lunge pattern. And then we move on to the end. All right, upper pull. I'm going to give us our primary exercise. Both of them have already done some more vertical pulling earlier in the week. One of them's on lat pull downs as a primary move. The other one's actually on pull-ups. So we're going to go more primary, just horizontal pulling. All right, we did a little bit, of making sure we trained some of our pressing motions already. So here I'm actually just going to go dumbbell rows. So supported dumbbell row, kind of more of a traditional move. And we're towards the end of the workout, so sometimes I like to, stagger up what we're doing volume-wise. So we're going to go 3x12. All right, 3x12. Single arm dumbbell row supported, 3 sets, 12 reps per arm. Then we're going right into triceps. This one we're going to keep pretty simple. Mostly, even if we're thinking about spacing in the gym, we've got the dumbbells set up right next to a cable stack. So we'll go right from single arm dumbbell rows right over to just a traditional straight bar tricep extension. So here, I'm just going to put tricep, you guys know straight bar extensions. Here, we're going to go 3 sets times 12 to 15. And then honestly, this is kind of that part where I like to have fun inside the programming with clients, sometimes give them a little bit of an option. And so when we get to the end, especially with 2 of them, I think it's kind of fun. I'll make them kind of decide together based on how the workout's been going, as I drop my cap, is what do you guys want here at the end? Dumbbell rows, triceps, we could pair core together there, or we could pair together a conditioning exercise. And I find sometimes that's a fun way to give them a little bit of ownership over the program. Maybe a certain day they're like, you know what, I just need like a little stress relief. Let's hammer some conditioning. Maybe it's a sled push. Maybe it's some carries. Maybe it's a rower, right? Battle ropes. You got so many options you could use. I'm usually going like low impact conditioning there, but something for like 30 to 60 seconds. Or if they're like, you know what, I'd love to do some core training, boom, I'll let them choose there. Because truthfully, guys, I have already gotten above the line most of what I want out of the program with them. So here's my chance to make sure I'm giving them a little bit of what they need. And we're doing that. This last set, it's a little bit more upper body, which for these 2 clients, a lot of my male clients, definitely enjoyable to finish off with more of an upper body pump. And we're still getting this full body routine. So hopefully that's giving you a little bit of a, let's say a framework or an idea on how can I, if I'm thinking about training multiple people, or maybe I'm looking into small groups, how can I start to approach the programming? I mean, we did it with more hinging, more, core work, some pressing, but you could change the patterns. If you got 2 days a week, you flip it. We're going squatting, we're going pulling, we're going pushing, but we don't have to change our thought process around it. And I won't go through all in this video, but once I've completed this, then I'm going to come up with like, hey, what do these 2 guys need? Either what are their deficiencies? What are some areas that we need to improve? Or what do we need to make sure we do to get them ready for our workout that day? So guys, if this was helpful, leave me some comments, leave me some questions if you'd like to see more content like this as we're going through and walking through programming. I know this is an area where so many people lack confidence when you're first getting started, but if you can see, hey, I've been training clients for 17 years and my programming has probably never been simpler than it is now. So hopefully this was helpful. I'll see you guys soon.